let me tell you, everybody has their baggage and everybody has their demon. So you might as well deal with your own demon and everything will work out fine. If you're not in control of your emotions will be in control of you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Emotions. Oh, Manasa here. This is a show where I encourage you and I remind you that if you are not in control of your emotions will be in control of you. We talk about everything on this show, everything under the sun. And today we will be talking on divorce. Divorce is almost like an F word. it's almost like the S word or like an F word. People don't want to talk about it. I know a lot of people who are separated and they've been separated for 15 to 18 to 20 years, but they cannot sign that divorce paper. How can I be divorced? But you've been separated for 15 years. So that tells me that that word divorce comes with some kind of stigma. And I have just noticed that there are a lot of men and women staying in their marriages, dying on a daily basis. I mean, dying emotionally, dying financially, dying spiritually. They are suffering from domestic violence. They are dealing with all kinds of pain, different levels of pain, but they are told to just hang in there and just stay in there. And even though I am not an advocate for divorce, I am a married woman and I have gone through all kinds of upheavals in my marriage. And it's so funny because just this morning, like my husband and I were we were laughing and we were like, wow, we cannot believe that we are still married. We cannot believe that we actually went through all of those valleys and all of the mountains and everything that we have been through in our marriage. There are some people who can really, really hang in there because it is not a detriment to their physical life. And then there are some people that even if it's not a detriment to their physical life, but they just know that they can no longer take it. Maybe the age gap is too much. Maybe their career path, maybe they are on two different boats going to two different destinations entirely, so they just decide to split. And then we also have people who have children, and so they think about their children and, should I stay in this marriage, because what would the children say? And I don't want them to grow up in a broken way and all of that. So there is so much that people consider when they want to divorce. But I would want to say this to you, my viewer, is the word divorce, first of all, is not an F word. There are some people who really cannot afford to stay in a toxic marriage. Actually, nobody should be able to afford to stay in a toxic marriage. And people who leave their marriages, some people really, really regret. And then I know people who they thank God and they actually say, if I did not come out of that marriage, I will be dead today. If I did not come out of that marriage, I wouldn't even have been able to have children with this new person. So that's really, really what I want us to talk about today. Is I want us to talk about the stigmatization that comes with divorce. I want us to also talk about, so life after divorce. What happens after you have been divorced? The way that people view you, the things that people say, but most of all, the way that you view yourself. What has changed on the inside of you? How do you get into a new relationship, if you even get into a new relationship? I would also want to tackle that the giants that you faced in that past marriage. Are you working on yourself to make sure that you're not taking those giants into the next marriage? Or maybe your choices would be different, like your choice in a spouse would be different. And I can't really do justice to this topic because I am not divorced, even though, trust me, we have considered it before in the past. I actually called the lawyer. I was so adamant about it. But my husband and I went for counseling, and we went for therapy, and we went for all of that. But I can tell you that it is not easy to be in a dysfunctional marriage. It is not easy to watch you and your spouse drifting apart, drifting away. Both of you seem to be like from two different worlds. It is not easy to stomach emotional abuse where there is no connectivity, where there is manipulation, where there is fighting all the time. And also in our case, there was spiritual manipulation as well, because we are Christians, and then we also happen to be pastors. And so we were so quick at reciting Bible scriptures and how the wife should be submissive. And then I'll be, yes, but your husband has to also love the wife. And then it will now open a channel to her being submissive and all of that. And then I now find out that even when, okay, all the loving is being done and all the submission is being done, but there are also a few gaps that are in marriage, that love is not enough. Love is not enough to sustain a marriage. Character, integrity, being compatible. For goodness sake, like, you cannot marry somebody who is like 80 years old and you're 20, and then like you really, like, you guys are worlds apart. You are just worlds apart. Now, can we do things to bring you people closer? Because, God hates divorce. Like, you do know that God hates divorce. And, since he hates divorce, I am just going to keep on walking around with a broken leg and no eye, and maybe like tomorrow I will have like no arms, because God hates divorce. And maybe God would also wants me to also be dead by the time that she has finished beating me to where I drop dead, or vice versa. My point is that some people, unfortunately, like, some people like just need to say, hey, touches, bye. Like, some people really do need to say that. It is not every marriage that can be sustained or be sustainable. And that's what my guest is going to talk about today, and how she lived through her healing process. Because I hope you know that divorce is just like death. It is literally just like losing somebody, because you are losing a part of you. You are losing a routine. You are losing a familiarity. So you're starting a whole new life, a brand new chapter in your life. And then the worst thing is that the society will not even allow you to even heal properly. And they are judging you and everything. And then you even begin to question your own self. Am I even making the right decision? Or did I make the right decision? And whatever. So my guest is going to talk about that today. So stay tuned. My guest is here and I am so excited. Today our topic is on divorce. It is so nice, and help me welcome Miss Love Wilson.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. So, such a heavy topic. I'll just go straight to it. Why did you divorce?
You know, when you introduced the topic, and I was smiling, and I'm wondering, why are you even smiling? It's a tough topic.
Yes.
Okay, let me be serious.
Let me be serious about it.
Okay, that's really so direct. Why did I divorce? Part of my story, or one of the things I would state clearly that affected my relationship is the fact that we had this age difference that's really crazy. I was 22 at the time, he was 33. So 11 years. And I was really young, not very exposed, I didn't know too much. He, on the other side, he's very exposed, experienced, knowledgeable, vast, and all. And then it was so obvious at the time that these two people, we are not on the same page. Like, the way he's thinking and my thought process, when there was no meeting point. Like, I'm trying so hard to come up here, and he's just way up there. And at some point, his patience to really groom me and bring me up was, so it was really hard. It was really hard, and it was becoming too obvious that, how did this even happen in the first place? These people look like, you know how you say an uncle and a niece. So it was weird. It was weird. And he when he eventually came to terms with the reality that this ain't gonna work. I mean, she doesn't really fit in well, looking at what I intend to do with my life and all, at where I was at that time, I probably wasn't the right help he needed.
Right helpmeet.
Yes, because of the things he wanted to get involved with in ministry and in other areas of his life. So it was a whole struggle. We were in and out, in and out. We are here today, tomorrow, and that was a lot of emotional stress and turn on my flesh. So it was really ripping off my life. You know, I didn't enjoy stability for a long time because I was in between locations. Like, I'm with my sister, I'm with my parents, and it was just a whole mess. It was a whole mess. And through this, Omenesa, God intends for our marriage to glorify his name. He wants our relationship, our homes to glorify him. He wants us to bring him glory. And if that's not happening, that can't be God's plan.
Did you seek counseling? Like, did you seek every other medium? Because basically, divorce, they say, should be the last resort.
I agree.
So, did you do all of that?
Oh, my darling. We did all of that and even more. I remember the last section of that we had was in his uncle's house somewhere in Kaduna. We had to go there for a week. We stayed in a room. The man talked, prayed, counseled. But what happened in our case when we knew that this is it, like we knew, was after that phase of our life, we came back from that counseling and then we made some, commitment to say, let's make this happen and all. Then shortly afterwards, he got scholarship to go abroad to study. And that was like 4 months after that counseling section. And he went abroad to study. And 2 months after that, he called me and says, love, I've taken out time to review our relationship. And I really think that you should just move on with your life.
So, he called you for a divorce?
Well, maybe for a divorce, but that's not the way he put it. Okay. He said, I'm not coming back for you and the kids. I'm going to be here for a long time, even though I'm here to study. But I have reviewed our relationship in this past years, and I really feel that we are not making headways. We are not making progress as a couple that is expected. We are not being better. We're just being worse. We're just being bitter. And that's not God's plan for us. And I know that it might sound like I'm excusing him. This is because it's over a process. At that time, he didn't feel that way. I was devastated because, this is someone that I have walked through this process of restoration, reconciliation,
and everything, yeah.
And I was so hopeful.
So you weren't expecting it?
Oh, no, not at all. I was so hopeful. I've given testimonies of our comeback. Emerging when that that call came. And I knew he was serious because I know him. I know in my heart, a part of me was like, he'll come around. But the true part of me was saying, this guy's serious. This guy's serious. So I just became numb to that information, and I'm like, okay, let me see when he comes back, it will change his mind and all. So
how many years?
He went for a course that lasted for 1 year.
How many years were you married?
At that time, we were like 8 years.
Wow.
8 years that was unstable. It started off, I was in school, finished, came back home, stayed for 2 years, and we got separated. So it's not healthy. It's been toxic, really. Like literally, it could have led to death.
What were the things that you were going through emotionally?
Oh yeah.
In the marriage and when you left?
In the marriage, I lost I lost sight of who I was. The marriage took, like, I felt like my person died. I didn't know, like, you know how a situation gives you a new identity. Exactly.
Yes.
How it defines you and make you look as though you keep asking yourself every day, how did I get here? What am I doing here? Is this the life that I have looked forward to all these years? No, it can't be. It can't be. And so you are in that state of confusion, trying to find yourself, and this events happening in your marriage keeps reminding you of how your life has just taken a new and a different turn, and you're trying to fix that, and it's not even working. So it was a lot of emotional trauma for me.
Would you say that you saw all of these things before you married? Because like sometimes like you see like certain signs, but you know, would you say that you saw all of these things before you married? And may I ask why you married at like so young? Because because like I have brothers in Christ, like friends who, you know, tell me that they want to get married, and they're marrying a 21-year-old, or like a 20 of self-actualization and really knowing your identity, especially as a woman. As the woman, it takes time because there's so many layers. There are so many layers. So why did you get married that young?
You know, even me, I'm still trying to answer that question. I think it's just the environment I found myself at the time, and the people that I was surrounded with. I know when this came to me, I was struggling with it. I really didn't think it was cool. Like, why should I marry at this age? But you know, he kept pushing, and then of course the Lord has said, "You're my wife" thing came into play, and this girl that loves the Lord, you know,
heard nothing.
I just want. Yeah, she heard nothing, but she
heard
just
nothing.
wants to please the Lord, because the Lord has said. She just wants to honor that word. And so, but I knew at that time I struggled a lot to saying yes or no. So at some point I went to meet my elder sister and said, okay, this is it, this person and all. And she says, no, you can get married though. Don't say because I'm not married and you don't want to use me as an excuse. I said, no, it's not like that. I'm just thinking that I need some growing and
some more growing up to do.
And they say, it's not a problem. Everybody has their different destiny and their different path, you know. And it got me thinking, like, okay, I hope I'm not making a mistake by turning this down, you know. And then I talked to a pastor, and they said, there's no problem, you know. So the people around me, I think they really encouraged me, actually. They didn't think that it was, they just feel, come on now, everybody has different paths. And this guy, you know,
he's on fire.
Yeah, you know, this thing must happen.
So, I mean, like, since we are being so facetious with the Lord thing, would you say that there was spiritual abuse in your marriage?
Yes, of course. That happens a lot. You know, they know the Bible, you know scriptures a lot. And sometimes we are not being honest with how we use scripture, with how we use the word. We use it to... sometimes we are selfish in the way we use it because of how we want it to benefit us, and not in the real sense of what we are supposed to do, the sacrifice we are supposed to make to, you know, bring alive that part of scripture. Because of course, can two work together except they be agreed? Of course, there must be agreement. And if the two are chasing different parts, it's difficult to get them pursue a particular purpose and accomplish it. So yes, the submission thing, the respect thing, the love thing all came into play. And then the cultural part of the man just being a bully instead of being a man also came to play. And then at some point it was okay. I thought it was okay until I started going out and I saw how other men were treating their wives, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Because this is how my man treats me. It's not right, you know. And then to correct that was really, really stressful because it's a pattern he enjoys, and then it's been like, okay, this is the way we know how to do it, you know. She's a small, young girl.
She's small
so
girl.
just treat her. You say, oh, get this, do this, do. So I didn't have like a companion, like a friend, more like I married a boss. So yeah, so the spiritual and the head of the home, actually had a stronghold.
Was very prevalent.
Had a stronghold. I make the decision. I'm the man, and also I didn't have a voice. I couldn't be heard. Even when I'm hurting, I just soak it in because I'm not supposed to speak. He's in charge.
How did you heal?
Okay, thank you so much for asking that question because for me, my journey to healing started from within. It wasn't what anybody had to say to me, how they analyzed my situation. When he made that call to tell me he wasn't coming back to Nigeria, move on, I knew I had a decision to make. Of course, do I just want to hang in and just, continue to be a missus that is not realistic, that is not obtainable, that is a lie, because it's a lie as far as I'm concerned. And so I had a decision to make. And the reason I was hanging in there was that there was absolutely nothing to hang in. There was nothing to hold on to. But I was, because I thought about my kids. I thought about the society. I thought about what I represent spiritually. I knew a lot of people looked up to me, and I wouldn't want to be that example that is not correct. So because of that, I just didn't want to be in that place that is so questionable. So it was easier to just stay in here and just be okay. How's your husband? He's studying abroad. He's fine. We're good. But that's a lie. There's no home. There's no family.
There's nothing.
There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. And then you're just dying by the day because you're trying to protect an image that you don't even have in the first place. And I remember the judge when she was giving the final judgment, and she said, I believe you, your words are credible, and I am signing this for you. And she gave me, how people came to hug me that day in the court, and they were like, that they've never seen anything like this, that people in your situation, that most times when it gets to this point, that they turn them down. Because they feel there's no reason. Your husband traveled abroad, and so what's your problem?
Yeah.
But by the time I stated my reasons and the grounds, and the woman just was so convinced about the reason that I just need to move on with my life, and she was happy to give that judgment.
Wow.
That you're free.
Wow. Oh, well, you look free.
I am. Absolutely. I feel free. I don't just look free. I feel free. Absolutely. And one of the things that happened to me is afterwards, I just realized that there was no bitterness towards him.
Awesome.
I forgave him completely. I wished him well. I'm not. If he's successful tomorrow, it's not going to hurt me. I'm just going to be happy for him. Well done. I'm so happy for you. And that truly, for me, is the real healing.
I think that one of the most noble things that he did was to have told you, was to have been honest with himself as well, and not just string you along or pretend to be somebody that he knew he couldn't be.
Yes.
He couldn't be this father to these two children.
Yes.
He couldn't be this husband to this particular wife. Is he remarried or?
Well, I can't see you.
Thank you so much for listening once again. Thank you so much for watching us on this show. Until next time, bye-bye.
You will have to jump off a cliff, just knowing that